Hey VC, this is Jacob here, Moonrock. New video. This is my go at the Vinyl Tag 2019. So I started making these videos I think about February or March of last year. And I think that some of the first videos I actually saw in the VC were some Vinyl Tag videos from last year. By the time that I got around to figuring out what I wanted to do, what kind of content that I would have on my channel, what topics I would talk about, what albums I would show. The whole Vinyl Tag thing was kind of over, I felt. So yeah, I kind of felt that I missed the boat on that one. So I didn't do one last year. But here we are, almost a year later, and it's time to do the 2019 version of the Vinyl Tag. Now, I hope that you can see me okay. I'm not in my normal chair because a very obnoxious cat right beside me has stolen my chair. So the camera angle is a bit different today. I hope that's okay with you. So I have the 20 questions over here on my computer. So I will be glancing on my computer screen, or rather glancing at my computer screen from time to time. So bear with me with that. But otherwise, let's go. Let's do this. Vinyl Tag 2019. Okay, I got a stack of records here, and I apologize if this offends you in any way, but I will also be showing 3 CDs. This is only because I don't have these 3 particular albums on vinyl. So if CDs are not allowed in the Vinyl Tag, then please discard or disregard of this video here. I hope that you can bear with me. Once again, you know how it is. We don't have we don't have everything that we want on vinyl, and that's just the way it is. So, first question: what was your best find of 2018? Now, there were a lot of good finds. The one that really came to my mind when I read the question was this one here. This is Black Sabbath, Master of Reality, that I found at like a thrift store hall where different people can basically rent a booth and just put their items on display. They don't have to be there themselves. This is in a hall where there are people working there selling the items. And I think 3 or 4 of the booths have music, either on vinyl or CD. And one of them had this Black Sabbath Master of Reality. Now this, I believe, this is a UK first press. It has the opening here at the top, like I believe it's supposed to have, and the record itself is in the Vertigo inner sleeve, and has the Vertigo swirl and everything. And the record looks pretty okay. There are some hairlines and some scuffs and some whatnot. The record itself sounds not too good, but I still paid some money to get this because I don't, you know how it is. The sickness, as my good friend Dean from Grandma's Handbag calls it, the sickness comes in, and when you see this, you just get all, your eyes start to blur and you start to get the swirl in your eyes as well. And I just had to buy it. It's playable. It doesn't sound too good. It's probably not too good for my pickup, but I bought it, and I'm actually really chuffed about it. Even though I won't be playing it that much, it's still a nice one to have in the shelf behind me. So that would be my best find of 2018. So shout out to other VC channels who deserves more views or viewers. This was difficult, not because there aren't channels that I want to give a shout out, because there are a lot of channels that I really like, that I enjoy watching, problem was that I think of all of the, or most of the channels that I follow on a regular basis, I am in the low end when it comes to subscribers and viewers. They all seem to have more subscribers and views than I do, and that's fine. I'm not crying or anything. So finding VC channels that have less subscribers and less viewers than I do was pretty hard to be honest with you. There are a couple that I want to give a shout out to. First one is this very young man. I would think that he's around 13, 14 years old. His name is Dylan, and his channel is Vinyl Fuzz. You probably all know Dylan. He started out like, I don't know, 6 months ago with, I subscribed to his channel when he had like 12 subscribers or something, 13 maybe. And he's well over 200 now. And this 13, 14-year-old kid just shows the, prog, psych masterpiece one after another. It's just amazing, the collection that he's established at such a young age. I'm sure that his parents have something to do with that, but it's just awesome to see this young man be so into music and be so into old music, like music that was made, decades before he was born. So Vinyl Fuzz, Dylan. I also want to give a shout out to Dave, who is the channel Culture Fan. Dave lives, I think, in Texas. Lives definitely in the south of the states, and he shows some very, very interesting items. He seems to always have some classical stuff. He has jazz. He has a lot of like avant-garde music. Really interesting finds. I think it's mostly CD. Maybe it's like half and half CD and vinyl, but still, he has some very, very cool items that he shows. I also want to give a shout out to Steve at Value Vinyl, and his daughter Bree, of course. Steve has this this rule that he can only buy records for $2 or less, which is very interesting because he actually manages to find some really cool stuff at a very, very low price. And that just goes to show that, the rest of us spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars or whatever your currency is on getting the first press of some obscure record from 67 or whatever. And Steve does the exact opposite. I mean, sometimes he gets very lucky and he finds some really cool stuff and some stuff that is worth a lot more than he's paid for it. But like I said, with a limited budget, he manages to find some very interesting stuff. So Steve, Value Vinyl. And finally, oh, I forgot his name now. I think his name is, it's the channel Local Bandography. I think his name is Dave. I forgot now. I'm even friends with him on Facebook. I've forgotten your name now, sorry. But the channel is Local Bandography. And he shows off some amazing jazz records. If you're into jazz, check out the channel Local Bandography. The stuff that he finds, first press, second press, mono, whatever, on these like 50s and 60s pressings of jazz records is just simply outstanding. And I really want to give a big shout out to his channel, Local Bandography. So that's that. So question number 3, what holes are you looking to fill in your collection in 2019? Well, there's a lot of stuff. 2018 I've been very much into John Coltrane, and whenever I go out somewhere looking for music, whichever store it is, if I see a Coltrane album that I don't own, I have to buy it. That's like a rule that I've made for myself. Other than that, there are some great artists that I follow and that I love that are coming out with new albums this year. One of them, perhaps the most important one, is a band that has not released an album since 2006. It's the band Tool. This is not their latest album. This is the one before that. This is called Lateralis. This is from the year 2000, I believe. They released an album in 2000, I think it was 2005 or 6, called 10,000 Days. That is Tool's latest album, and they've been working on a new album for so many years that it's getting ridiculous, and the fans are just tired. We're tired of waiting. News just came in just the other day that they had finally recorded the last bit of music for the new album, and now they are starting the long process of mixing, as they called it themselves. So hopefully it'll be out this year. I don't want to bet anything on it because they are taking forever, and they have been for 13, 14 years now. They're going on tour as well this year, and I have a ticket to see them at, there's a festival in Denmark called Copenhagen. Of course, a pun on our capital's name, which is Copenhagen. So Copenhagen is a rock and metal festival. I have a one-day ticket only to see Tool. I really almost don't care who else is playing that day. I just have to see Tool live. I probably never ever will again have the opportunity to see them, so I'm going this year to see them. And hopefully they have a new album out, and hopefully also they will do reissues of their previous albums. My favorite album of theirs is the one called Enema from 1996, which is like a $500, $600, $700, $800 record if you can find it. Ridiculous. Even the even bootlegs are sold for like $50, $70, $80, $100. So it's ridiculous. So Tool, I'm hoping to get some albums from them 2019. Question number 4, a cheap album that is really good. So this might go under the category guilty pleasure, but I have a thing for for many years now defunct British pop band called Cock Robin. This is their 1987 album called After Here Through Midland. I'm not sure how, if they ever had a hit in the States, but they were quite big in Europe. The big song of this album is the one on the top here, just around the corner. Then there's also The Biggest Fool of All, and then my favorite song of this album is the third one mentioned here, called El Norte. Yeah, it's basically, the band is Peter Kingsbury and then Anna Lacasio. Those two basically were the band, and then they had some musicians playing with them as well, obviously. This is just a brilliant pop album, 9 songs, and there is not 1 second on this album that isn't amazing. I went looking for records today, like at a place that sold records. Every record they had, they sold for 10 Danish kroner, which is about $1.40 or something. And there were 3 copies of this album there. I have it, so I didn't buy it. But that's the price that you can purchase this album for in Denmark, and I would think over most of Europe. But this album is from start to finish just amazing pop album. So Cock Robin, After Here Through Midland, is my cheap album. My favorite side project album, I really struggled with that. I've been over my collection so many times and looking for side projects, and yeah, it was very, very tough. I couldn't really find that many. I think one of my favorite side projects is Tom York, and also I think Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers is involved in the band called Atoms for Peace. I don't have a single item by them, unfortunately, even though I like them a lot. So the one that came to mind, and I couldn't say that this is my favorite side project album, but this is definitely a very, very good side project. And speaking of Tool, and I'm going to show you a CD now, so cover your eyes if you can't handle to see a CD. A Perfect Circle which is a side project including Maynard Keenan James from Tool that I just spoke about, the lead singer, and they've done, I think, 3, 4, 5 albums, and they are a really, really excellent band. This is their first one called Mer de Nom or something, Mer de Noms. Very, very good. If it's my favorite, I'm not sure. It's the one that I could think of, sorry. Question number 6, a song from an artist or band that is uncharacteristic in their catalog. Another CD coming up, so cover your eyes once more. This probably won't make a lot of sense to many of you, but this is a Danish band called Kashmir. That's the album right there. You can see Kashmir, and they did an album called No Balance Palace. And this is actually quite an interesting album, and I would think that many of you don't know this, but there's a song on this album called Black Building, which is song number 9 out of 10, if you can see that, which is a song of about, I think it lasts about a minute, maybe a minute and 30, 2 minutes, I'm not sure, where the band is just playing like some background noise, some guitar feedback, and some avant-garde noise rock thing in the background. And then in front of the band on this song is Lou Reed. Yes, the Lou Reed, reciting like a, well, it's like a poem or like a very short story about this black building that he passes through, and it's just like this old dusty building, and someone maybe saw the devil inside the building. That's the lyrics right there, if you want to freeze frame on that. So Lou Reed is actually talking over Danish band Kashmir, playing their noise in the background, and then Lou Reed is just slowly, like spoken wordish, is like saying these lyrics here. Also on this album, I just wanted to mention, there's a song called The Cynic. The lyrics are there. And that song actually features David Bowie on vocals. So, long story short, this album by Danish band Kashmir, called No Balance Palace, released in 2005, has both David Bowie singing and Lou Reed speaking on different tracks. So if you are a completist of either David Bowie or Lou Reed, you would need this in your collection because they feature on it. So check this out, Kashmir. Moving on, question number 7, what's the last album you bought? I actually went record shopping today, and I found really a lot of stuff. The one that I want to highlight here is one that I've actually been eyeing for a long time, and finally I got myself together to buy this. This is Peter Gabriel and Friends, and an album called Scratch My Back and I'll Scratch Yours. So what this is Peter Gabriel covering songs of famous bands and artists. He does a cover of David Bowie's Heroes. He does a cover of Arcade Fire's My Body's a Cage. He does a cover of Street Spirit by Radiohead, Street Spirit Fade Out by Radiohead. And then other bands on the second disc in this set here do covers of his songs. So like Bon Iver does a brilliant cover of Come Talk to Me. Arcade Fire, who Peter Gabriel covers on the first record, cover Games Without Frontiers. Elbow, one of my favorite bands, cover Mercy Street. Lou Reed is on here, he covers Salisbury Hill. Paul Simon covers Biko. The track list is there. I've been dying to get this album for a long time, and finally I saw it, and I pulled the trigger on it and bought it. So that's one of the last albums I bought it today. So check this out if you don't know it. Next question. A great album with a bad cover. A great album. It's a decent album. One of my all-time favorite artists is Madonna. I know that's not cool at all to say, but I love her and I have for over 30 years. And she did an album with a horrible cover in when was this released? 2008. I'm warning you, this is so dreadful. She did this album called Hard Candy, which it just has the worst cover in music history almost. But it's actually a pretty decent album, even even if this is from 2008 Madonna. The producers on here are Timbaland and Pharrell Williams, and especially the Pharrell Williams songs are just really, really, really great. My favorite song on this is Beat Goes On. Features Kanye West, but that has nothing to do with the song being great. Has Miles Away, it has Give It To Me, it has Candy Shop. I love Madonna, and this is a decent album. There are some songs that are off, but this is a decent album, and the cover just, it just sucks. I'm sorry, it really, really does. It's just a horrible cover. An album with a great cover, but an album that isn't too good. Once again, I'm going to be crucified in the VC for doing this. But Pink Floyd, I know, or the remains of Pink Floyd, released The Endless River in 2014. I think as a tribute to Rick Wright. This was, I think, primarily his songwriting and his ideas that David Gilmour and Nick Mason just finished. And the album feels like being stuck on a boat out to sea, on a sea that just leads nowhere. And this album just, in my opinion, leads nowhere. But the cover is beautiful. It's a beautiful cover. It's just, in my ears, it's just a snooze fest. It's just a boring, boring album that really, to think that this was the last album that Pink Floyd released, yeah. I'm sorry, this is just boring. I've listened to it twice, I think, and I'm not sure that I'll ever listen to it again, to be honest with you. So, question number 10, a blues album. I struggled with this also, because blues is a genre that I don't really delve that much into. And like the only record I could find, this is a good record, is the soundtrack to the Crossroads movie. Obviously the movie about, is it about Robert Johnson? I think it is. And it has some Robert Johnson songs on here, music otherwise by Ry Cooder. And it's a great album, it's a great movie. So I think that this would be my only, I think this is my only blues album, if you will. I'm not a big blues guy, sorry. So Ry Cooder Crossroads soundtrack is my blues album. An earworm song, one of my favorite songs of all time, one that I've been so fortunate as to experience live, I think by now 4 times, is by LCD Soundsystem from the album Sound of Silver, one of the best albums of the aughts or noughts, whatever you call it. And the song is track number 5, All My Friends, which on the tour that they were on with the American Dream album, they played as the final song, because it's just, the song just builds and builds and builds. Starts off with this really signature piano riff that everyone thinks is sampled whenever they play live, but it is in fact played live by a guy who has to sit and play the same riff over and over and over again for more than 7 minutes. And the song just starts off slowly and just builds up and gets more and more intense until the last minute and a half, when everything just goes, and it's just an amazing song. So check it out. All My Friends from LCD Soundsystem. The album is Sound of Silver. A historically important artist is question number 12, and there's been some controversy lately about this band that I'm going to talk about briefly, because they've just been inaugurated into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And there are a lot of people that disagree with that because they find them boring, they find them arty, they find them uh, like not approachable, and I get that. But that's the reason why I love them. That they don't suck up to what everybody wants them to do. They had one big hit with their first album, and then they've had more hits, but they had one giant hit with their first album, and then quickly learned that we have to steer away from hits. The band I'm talking about is Radiohead. This is Kid A, my favorite Radiohead album. They had Creep from their first album, Pablo Honey, which blew up everywhere, and America loved it. And then, of course, they did an album called The Bends, which was less approachable. Still gave them some hits. Then they did OK Computer, which is a 90s masterpiece, and really does not have any hits, but still it gave them hits. And so they made Kid A, and just made sure that everyone who just wanted hits just got off the train, and just left all of us fans there to love them and to keep on loving them, and we still do 18 years after this album was released. So Radiohead, in my opinion, will be one of the most important bands in music history. You're gonna laugh at me, I know. Hannah, if you're watching, you hate them, I know. Radiohead is one of the most important bands in my life, and I think it's a very, very well deserved that they will be included in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Not that it matters to them, I'm sure. It doesn't matter to me either. The music does not mean more to me just because they're in the freaking Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is just unimportant to me and to them, I'm sure. But Radiohead, I would say, is a historically important artist. Question number 13. An album you own because of your parents. I've selected this one. This is Tom Jones, and the album is Green Green Grass of Home. Why have I chosen this? Well, many years ago, on some sort of dance floor at a party, my father, who was a little buzzed at the moment, danced with my mother and sang to her as well as he could Green Green Grass of Home, and she fell in love with him, and here I am. So because of Tom Jones, because of that song right there, Green Green Grass of Home, that's the reason why I'm sitting here. So I've been listening to Tom Jones my whole childhood. My mother is a big fan of him, so that would be my answer to that. Question number 14. Best dollar bin find. Well, this is the album that I found last year in a dollar bin. This probably won't make any sense to you unless you're Danish. This is by a Danish woman called Susanne Menzel. The album is Goodbyes and Beginnings. So this is one of the first electronic ambient folk records in Danish music history. Released in 1981, this album was only, I think, known by their very, very few vinyl nerds. And because of that, and they all wanted it, the price was pretty high. And then the guy who plays Frodo in the Lord of the Rings movies, and I forget his name right now. The name is going to be put down here because I can't remember right now. The guy who played Frodo in the Lord of the Rings did a video with a friend of his talking about extremely rare records, and he showed off this one. He was in Copenhagen doing a DJ gig, I think, for some reason. I can't remember his name. What freaking is... It's gonna be here. He did a DJ gig, and he went into a record store, and somehow he had heard about this record, and he wanted to buy it. And he bought it, and did a video on YouTube with his friend, like I said, showing off rare records. And he showed up this one, and then everything just exploded. And everybody wanted this record here. So the record... the value of the record increased immensely, like that. and it's like a $300-400 record. And then because of the number of people wanting to get this, they did a reissue last year. I had not heard about this record until I saw people talk about the reissue and said, you know, now we can finally get this album. I thought, what is this? Cut to a couple months later, I go to a flea market. A guy who has advertised that he's selling a lot of records. I found some good stuff at some, normal standard prices. I looked through every single one of the dollar bins, and I find this one. And an original pressing with a beautiful cover that is still white. It has some bruises and some dents here and there. The record looks amazing. It's probably never been played, and I got this. So the value has decreased a little. It's like a $250 record, maybe $200 maybe, but it's still a great record, and I'm not giving it up. So Susanne Menzel, Goodbyes and Beginnings, is my best dollar bin find. Question number 15: favorite double album. Now, it's like choosing between your children, if you had any. I don't have any children, but favorite double album. I'm gonna show you one that is a favorite, and a favorite album of all time for me also. Canadian post-rockers, Godspeed You Black Emperor. This is the album called Lift Your Skinny Fists Like Antennas to Heaven. This is just the soundtrack of the world going under. I'm sorry about the glare. I can take it out the back. Yeah, like I said, this is the soundtrack to the world going under, and everything just falling apart. And this is so beautiful. This is so depressing. This is so aggressive. This is so soft. This is just so everything. One of my favorite albums of all time by far. Godspeed You Black Emperor is the band from Canada. The album is Lift Your Skinny Fists Like Antennas to Heaven. Favorite double album. One of them at least. An album I learned about from the VC in the last year. Well, actually it's Dave from Local Bandography. He talked a lot about Ornette Coleman. Now, I knew about Ornette Coleman. Didn't have any records of his. I knew that if I saw something, I had to get it. And I think that Dave talked about this album, The Art of the Improvisers by Ornette Coleman. And I found it. It cost me a bit, but I found it, and I'm really happy that I got it. This is mind-blowing stuff here. This is not something that you're in the mood for all the time, but free jazz, improvising jazz. If you're up for it, check out this album, Ornette Coleman, The Art of the Improvisers. Thanks to Dave at Local Bandography, I discovered this one. So thank you, Dave. That's my question. That's my answer for that question. Sorry. Question number 17. Show a 10-inch record, and it's pretty obvious for me what I want to show. I don't own that much or that many 10-inch records. I already showed one of the Radiohead ones that I own. I really want to show this one. I've shown it before, and I've talked about this young lady over and over again during the past year. This is Norwegian pop singer Sigrid with her EP Raw, and I am just in love with this young woman here. She has brought back pop music, like true pop music, in a time where most popular music is just drenched in really, really bad hip hop, trap rap, mumble rap, horrible R&B. Everything is just hip hop, and everyone I know who never ever liked hip hop loves hip hop. And it's it's not like in the good old days with Dr. Dre and Ice Cube and Busta Rhymes and Das Effects and so on. All of the great hip hop acts from the 90s. Hip hop today is just horrible, and it is just all over. And then out of Norway, out of the little town called Ålesund in Norway, comes Sigrid, And this is, like I said, her EP Raw. This is her second EP that she's released. She comes out with an album this year, 2019, and I can't wait. She really put pop music back where it belongs, on the radio, on TV, at the festivals, I just absolutely adore this young woman here. So Sigrid, 10-inch record, 7-inch record. I want to show you this one. I've showed fairly recently in a Vinyl Finds video. I bought not that long ago this 7-inch single by the Miles Davis Quartet, A Night in Tunisia. The quartet consists of Red Garland, Oscar Pettiford, and Philly Joe Jones. This is a Scandinavian release on the label Metronome. It's a series where there are some other great 7-inch singles: John Coltrane, other Miles Davis stuff, Sonny Rollins, Modern Jazz Quartet, Thelonious Monk. This is a really cool item that I bought. Basically because I just wanted a 7-inch with Miles Davis, come on. An original pressing from 1950 something, made in Sweden. Like I said, a Scandinavian pressing. So Night in Tunisia part 1 on side 1, and then part 2 on side 2. So that is the 7-inch that I want to show you. 2 questions left. An album that you like, favorite album to fall asleep to. Now, I don't usually listen to music to fall asleep, but a great album when you want to just unwind and relax, and you could ultimately fall asleep while listening to it because it is just so beautiful. And yeah, it's I'm gonna show you a CD once again. Is this one. This album is Obus Terrarum by, you can see the title there, by the British dub, chill, ambient, whatever you want to call it, electronic outfit called The Orb. Actually, in this one they're just called Orb. If you can see that. Can you see that? Maybe you can. I don't know if you can. 7 tracks. Some of them go on for like 15-16 minutes. It's just really dubby, really trippy, really moody, dark yet uplifting, and it's just awesome. The my favorite track on this album is track number 3, called Oxbow Lakes. Just comes in with this really cool piano riff, just so beautiful, and then this dubby, trippy beats just come in, and yeah, it's just brilliant. So that would be an album to unwind to chill out to, and you may accidentally fall asleep whilst listening to it. And that brings us to the final question, number 20. Your favorite VC experience and or advice for people contemplating making videos. So I think it's pretty easy to pick one favorite thing that has happened in the VC for me personally. That is, of course, winning the contest held by Robert C. called The Lottery, where I and 19 others participated. We all did a video. I was the lucky winner, and I will potentially receive a total of 32 prizes, 32 gifts or presents from the volunteers who signed up to send presents to the winner. So far I've received, this is the lot that I have received that I still haven't listened to, and I feel really bad about showing you this because I am way behind on listening to the prizes that I've received. These ones are the ones that I received and listened to. So I have listened to some, and then there were also a couple of CDs that I got in one package. So that would be my favorite experience of being in the VC so far. That would be winning the lottery contest. And advice for people contemplating making videos is just do it. Basically, just go ahead and do it if you want to. You may feel a little shy at first, a little worried at first that maybe you're not doing it right. Well, if you're doing it, you're doing it, and you're doing right. People are 99.9%. Everyone in the VC is friendly, and there is. Considering how many people are doing this, and considering the variety of people doing this, there is very, very little trouble or beefs or whatever. There have been some, but you know, there are some egos in the VC, just like everywhere else. But in general, everyone is friendly, everyone is nice. Communicate with people, interact with people. Comment if you see something you like. You know, just be yourself and be active, and stay true to yourself, and you know, do whatever you want to do. Don't do something because others do it. Do whatever you want to do, and don't worry about the numbers of subscribers and views and so on. So basically, just have fun, enjoy it. So yeah, that's it. That's it for my vinyl tag video. I hope that this doesn't go too long. I hope that we can stay out of the 40s minutes wise. I'm sure that we can't. I've been babbling too much. So that's it for now, guys. Stay safe. See you soon. Bye bye.